man. You need to buy yourself a gun. What? Gun. What? Like a handgun for personal protection. If somebody tries to mug you. What? What if your government tries to throw you in a can? What? You're gonna want a shotgun. Oh. What? One automatic rifle and a lot of ammo. Gun? Yeah, gun.
We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They'll burn you out like a Waco. They'll stick your ass in a camp. Check for the cops in riot gear. Gonna kick your ass and laugh. The revolution is on its way. Better lock and load your AK. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They gave your money to the banksters. They stole your pension fund. It's time that we took to the streets. It's time we had our turn. A revolution is on its way, and the founding fathers would say, buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Revolution's not clean and neat, you gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat, you gotta drag them through the streets.
Hey, it is Tuesday. It's primer time. We're live. My name is Michael.
And I'm Nick. Michael, what's going on?
Good to hear you, man. How's life been treating you?
Today I got out of the walking boot that looks like it came from Star Wars.
Good job. Good job. So you did you lose any muscle?
Oh, yeah, there's absolutely no muscle in what used to be my calf.
So you are one chicken-legged fool.
I am. And what's worse is that the orthotic insert that the physical therapist gave me today is worse than the Dr. Scholl's thing that I bought at Walmart.
Oh, and I'm sure it costs quite a bit more.
Well, that would be for the insurance company to deal with.
Oh, I think they're going to pass that on to all the rest of us. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Only the best for me.
That's right. Well, you know, you deserve it. You put in the work, and thank you. I appreciate it. And let my country buy you something that is worse than Dr. Scholl's for your efforts. Thank you very much.
So what have you been able to do this weekend?
I was able to avoid Black Friday.
Well, that is a heck of a deal.
I'll tell you what, something I did here, Black Friday is also Gun Black Friday.
I hear that's a boon for the entire firearms industry.
I think it's a boon for arming people. There were some seriously good deals out there for people who were looking. And according to my research, I saw that Department of Justice figures showed that the NCIS background check system had 3 hits a second. I'm sorry, 3 hits a minute.
I was going to say, yeah.
3 hits a minute on Black Friday. So sales were up, and if you look at it towards everything else, it looks like gun shops are the only brick and mortar stores that did well.
Yeah, I actually saw a couple reports on some of the more left-leaning news outlets that were having the fear that the NCIS system would crash.
Oh my God!
Due to the demand.
Slip through the system. Oh,
think of the children if that would have gone down.
Just one more. Thank you for thinking of the children. I was remiss in not just giving a shout out to the kids out there.
Yeah, if you can just save one.
Just one. That's all we need is one more.
Yeah, in my field, that means saving the last bullet for yourself.
Just one.
Yeah, last round is on me.
Oh, yeah. Well, be honest, I'm glad you're nearing the end of that game.
So am I. So check this out. I did happen to see that the local big box sporting goods stores, they had some pretty sweet deals on some ammo that was going on. I mean, I got a couple of mailers and things over the things over email that were saying that 22 long rifle would be in store, like it was an appearance by a celebrity.
You're almost making it sound like Santa is going to take pictures with.
I was going to say, I wanted to go get...
take pictures with this brick.
Yeah, I wanted to go sit in the red chair holding the brick. This is what I really wanted for Christmas.
But all I got, I wanted 22, and all I got was a pony.
All I got was 380.
Yeah, you know what? That means you were really bad, because getting 380 is like the equivalent of getting coal.
Yeah, because I hadn't even seen a 380 pistol in forever.
I'll tell you what, I've seen an interesting 380 pistol. It's called the Taurus Curve. Now, please,
yeah. Go ahead, tell us about that.
The name Taurus. It is a 380. Aside from it being notable for being 380, it also has no sights. And you may say, "Hey, that's odd," but it does come with a flashlight and a laser on it, and the frame is curved.
And that would be for ease of use, because I think it has a external belt clip. Correct?
It's for ease of carry. Yeah, that's right. It does have an external belt clip, and it's all about the ease of carry, knowing that it's going to be a pistol that is carried far more than it is shot. And I don't know, Taurus is pretty innovative with this one. The frame is curved in the hand, although the magazine that feeds it is straight. It just appears that there's more material added, or more polymer added to one side and kind of concave on the other side with, a lack of material.
All right, so this is going to be a magazine that's totally proprietary to the curve. It's not going to be interchangeable with another firearm.
It is I don't know if it's interchangeable with another firearm, just due to the base being taller on one side and a little bit shorter to accommodate this curve. But it is a straight magazine. The magazine is not curved. Yeah. It's just like a magazine from a TCP 380. So what they've got is at the ends on the left side, it's got more polymer material on it, and it kind of thins out towards the middle. And on the opposite side, it's got less material at the ends and kind of thickens up towards the middle. So it gives the frame the curve with the polymer, but the magazine still stays straight.
Yeah. So are you saying that this is going to be a total polymer frame, or is there any steel in it at all?
There is a steel slide, and of course, I believe it's a stainless barrel, and then whatever springs have to be made out of metals. The rest of the frame is polymer. The laser and the flashlight that are integral to the gun, that's not an add-on piece, are whatever they're made out of. And housing, I guess it's a very simple battery change, and there's never any need to zero it. I guess it's zeroed at the factory. I don't even believe there's a spot to zero the laser.
Yeah.
It's also got an interesting sort of slanted. I wouldn't even say it's a muzzle brake, but it's cut like a muzzle brake on.
Okay. So it's got ports on it, basically.
No, I wouldn't say it's a port. It's just that the muzzle is almost slant cut.
Okay.
And I don't know. This could be a game changer. I mean, this is it's pretty innovative. I mean, from a company that really just kind of like rocked the world with their ability to take every polymer design and ruin it. But this is kind of like thinking outside the box on their part, and
Well, that's good, because I think now that you bring this up, I did happen to catch a 30-second commercial on one of the cable outdoor channels, and they did show the profile. And if I remember correctly from the advertisement, it was marketed towards women.
It may be.
Yeah, I think in the spot, the person handling the firearm was a woman. So. And I do believe that the name Curve was kind of alluding to, hey, play off the old
female stereotype.
the female stereotype of curves. So
the curve is just referring to the actual curvature of the frame, and it's designed to be, once you've got it in a concealed position, far probably inside the belt. It's invisible. You can't see it. It doesn't print. It holds the body wonderfully.
No, that's cool.
I just hope I hope it works out for him. 380 is not my choice. I'm probably not going to get one.
Well, your curves are not in the right places to have that. So.
No, I am curvy if the letter O is curvy.
Yes, you shop in the husky section too.
I wear the big boy.
No, I mean I think that's cool. I've seen a lot of Remington firearms. You ever seen the Remington 1911? I think it's called the R1.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that go on sale at one of the big boxes for $519 plus a $75 money back for Remington. That's
a screaming deal because that pistol normally retails about $650, $700.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the non-advertised in-store prices that shoppers were greeted with on Friday after Thanksgiving.
Well, I'll tell you what. Now that we've brought up the subject of Remington, I'd also like to announce that Remington has announced a recall of the 887 shotgun. And it's from the manufactured dates of January 2013 to November of this year. So all of them have been recalled. Yeah. If you have a recent purchase of a recent manufacturer, Remington 887, consult Remington's website and ship it back to them.
Yeah, they will take care of it. They don't need the bad press.
They're getting a lot of bad press, and I think the Freedom Group and the rapid expansion of acquiring Marlin has led to serious loss in quality control.
Yeah, I remember a couple years ago, probably going on almost 3 or 4 years ago, Remington had a hatchet job done on them from 2020. And it was about the Remington recalls. I think it was the 770 model bolt-action rifle.
See, I almost have a hard time being sympathetic to Remington because while this may be a hatchet job on this one rifle, they've had several products that have been recalled over the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those things that, when you take a look at American gun makers versus some of the significantly higher priced European firearms makers, you're going to see that on average, European firearms makers do not have to issue the type of recalls that, say, folks like Remington have to do. There's just a significant amount more.
I won't even call them Remington anymore. I'm almost going to call them Remlin.
Yeah, Remlin. Don't pour water on it. Don't expose it to direct sunlight, and don't let it stay out of its safe beyond midnight.
Yeah. Well, they own. It's kind of funny, but they own Marlin, so they're almost it's a hybrid thing there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll tell you what. There is no need to pour water on your Marlin or on your Remington because I've seen pictures recently of rifles and shotguns in the store that have rust on the barrel from the factory.
Oh man, that's no bueno.
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, so listen, we got phones open tonight. Anybody wants to call in and yap with us, 717-718-8296. 717-718-8296. Give us a call if you want.
Yeah.
But
so with the closing in certain jurisdictions for deer season, I am actually going to go on a hunt on the next 2 Saturdays in my location. So I am pretty excited. And one of them is going to be this coming Saturday, and it will be a shotgun hunt. And the choice of shotguns that I will be using for this hunt is between the what do you call it, the SKB Field Model 500 over under, and then the trusty Mossberg 500A. And I think I'm going to use a Mossberg 500A.
I would go with the Mossberg 500A.
Yeah, in my jurisdiction, I'm not limited because this is something called a DMAP hunt. Basically, it's a land developer that's going to be clearing the land, and they need to remove as many deer as possible. So this will be the one time that I get to use the phrase, if it's brown, it's down. And thankfully, I'm not using that in Ferguson, Missouri.
Or in Iraq, I'll tell you what. Ferguson's got a lot of issues, and we're seeing the rise of gun sales happening in the Missouri area at a rapid pace. On the Black Friday, that was one of the hot topics, was how many guns are being sold in Missouri, in the St. Louis area, and in the crime-ridden areas of our nation.
Well, and that's one of the things that kind of struck my attention this weekend, Michael. I don't know if you've heard about the assault that ended with the death of a Bosnian immigrant, and he was killed by hammer-wielding assailants in the nearby area to Ferguson, and his assailants are black males. Doesn't matter your color, doesn't matter your nationality. You attack somebody with a hammer, you're just a bad dude, and you probably deserve the right to forfeit your time among the rest of normal society. So, this is a situation where the individual who was attacked was a refugee and later became a citizen from Bosnia. He had left Bosnia during their civil war between them, Croatia and Serbia. And, this is a guy that came to the United States to make a better life, and he ended up getting killed for probably nothing big of a reason at all. So if there was any excuse to arm yourself, this would be a stark reminder of what people need to do.
The only thing I would add to arm yourself is become proficient with it and know how to use it for what works best for you.
Yeah, certainly. I think also is that, we talk about it every week, becoming familiar with the firearm of your choice, not necessarily anything that gets recommended to you, nothing that tries to, a sales associate tries to upsell you on. If you've got the option and you have the availability in your area to go out with, a friend, maybe borrow a friend's firearm, get them a chance to get something in your hand so that way you can become familiar with it, that's just a invaluable experience. And a lot of folks, like I said, in my location right now, there are very few places where you can actually go out and shoot. You have to go outside of my county and go into one of the adjacent counties to be able to find some place to shoot.
Well, I got lucky. I got to go shoot today, and I got to shoot within my county.
Well, you just saved on gas.
I really did, and what a lovely time, considering that gas is in the big city. It is $2.32, and it's $2.59 here in my town.
Yeah, your big city is cheaper than my smaller city, but your smaller city is still cheaper than my big city.
That's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's horrible. I had to drive 13 miles to go fill up to drive another 13 miles to come back. So I think I almost wasted an eighth of a tank of fuel.
Right. Well, usually what I do is I fill up here in Little Town, and then I drive to the big town and go and fuel up at a significantly saving rate right there. Right. But you think about it, and I got a 26-gallon tank on my truck, and I probably only put like 4 or 5 gallons when I'm like short like that. And I usually try not to end up short. I usually always try to park on nothing less than a half a tank. But sometimes it happens. Yeah. And I don't know. You figured I saved maybe $3 doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth the time.
So talking about vehicles got me thinking, Michael. We haven't talked about truck guns in a long time, and I wanted to get your take on what's a good size firearm to keep in your truck, either for work or for personal defense. And I would figure there's 2 categories to that. You probably got handguns, and then you've got some carbine type rifles.
I'll tell you, depending on your situation, my situation is completely different from somebody who lives in the middle of Houston or the middle of Dallas or the middle of Phoenix or something like that. So my choice may be different than somebody else's.
Yeah, you almost need a truck gun to go into Walmart in Houston on Black Friday. That's what I saw.
Yeah, and it wasn't just limited to the United States. I saw that there were some Black Friday activity in the UK, and they don't even celebrate Thanksgiving. And they had people fighting over like discount panties. Is one of the videos I saw. It was
yeah, that's just unreal. Unreal.
So, I don't know. Maybe it's a decline in the overall culture of everything. So
yeah.
I know. Sorry to get off topic on that.
Not a problem. Well, one of the rifles that I was thinking about, when I was thinking about like a work rifle or a ranch rifle, one of the things that always comes up is people talk about the Ruger, the Ruger ranch rifle, and I was just like, you know what, a mini 14, just I don't think it does it for me, because it's 223 Remington, and it's got proprietary magazines. I'm not really cool with the barrel setup, but do you see any utility in that or no?
Well, I would have to look at what criteria I'm looking at for the truck gun.
All right, so if you've got a little spit of land, and maybe you've got some livestock that you allow to graze on it, and you want to keep.
I think a bigger question is, what is your budget for this truck gun? And I'll tell you what, immediately that puts that Mini 14 out of my reach.
Right, exactly.
That's not a consideration. So I'm looking at something used. I think a handgun is always nice in a truck. I really do. And if you've got the ability to leave it in your truck, even better. I'll tell you what, a used Smith & Wesson SW9VE would probably be fairly nice. You can get that less than $300 used, and it's completely functional, and it has a 16-round magazine. And it's got a sort of stainless alloy slide, so the rust issue is a minimum, and it's a polymer frame. That's something that you would consider. Rifle, I don't know if I'd take a rifle, Nick, to be honest with you. I'd probably end up taking a shotgun rather than a rifle. I'd find more utility in a shotgun.
Yeah, but if you're in the front seat and you need to get out quickly, are you going to be able to get out, wield that shotgun, and do what you got to do? Or are you going to be able to get hung up on something in the vehicle?
Well, I'll tell you what. Taking that same argument and looking at a rifle, I don't think you'd be able to do it. Shotgun, I think you might be able to, because you've got an 18-inch barrel and 26-inch overall length, 26 and a half. Is what it comes out to be. I think in my truck, I could definitely. Well, I could carry it in the front and still have plenty of room for me and passengers to sit, but that's not who I am. I'm not going to carry a shotgun exposed in the truck like that.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem carrying it right behind the front seat, and my truck is large enough to where I can, it's a full-size Chevy, so I can, grab it and get out and not be encumbered, with a problem. But I think in that situation, if you have to exit your truck rapidly, I think a handgun is the way to go.
Okay.
And going back to the rifle question, we also have to look at price again. And I don't think you're going to get a serviceable rifle other than a military surplus rifle like a Mosin Nagant for the price of something that you'd want to ding up in your truck. Maybe you'd be able to find like a used Marlin 336 in 3030 or something like that. Or
that's where I think you're onto something right there. One of the things that we haven't really talked about in the past has been some of the military surplus rifles that's out there. And I happened to see something that I thought would work very well, and it was called a FR8. This was made by the Fábrica de Armas La Coruña in Spain, and this is a .308 Winchester battle rifle that was made basically to test out the theory of the 8mm Mauser for the Germans in the Spanish Civil War. They adjusted it, a couple different chamberings, and the FR8 is usually chambered in the .308. And I'll tell you, I think that's pretty cool.
This is a semi-auto rifle?
No, it's a bolt-action rifle.
Okay.
And like I said, there's I think it's a 4-round internal magazine, and I think that's got the power that you need in order to do most anything. And North America, you shoot something with a .308 short of a I don't know, maybe a grizzly or a huge moose, and even you can even shoot a moose with a .308 and it's going to go down. But I think that's going to certainly take care of any coyote, fox, bobcat, wolf, you name your predator. That's going to do the job on them.
I would agree with you on that. Getting back to the Mini 14, I'd almost have to discount the Mini 14 all over. Unless you're truly a Mini 14 fan, I don't think that's somebody who's something that somebody who's new to it should get into. Their magazines are expensive. They only work if you get Ruger brand magazines. Tapco magazines doesn't work. Anybody else's magazines don't work. It's only Ruger magazines that work. They only like certain kinds of brass 223 ammo. Unless it's a 5.56 Mark rifle, it's not built for it.
Yeah.
I think the Ruger Mini 14 ends up being kind of an expensive disappointment.
Yeah, and I think that's also one of those things that people end up buying for the name and the name recognition. And well, in Ruger's Mini 14, they also make another ranch rifle. They make the Mini 30, which is in a 7.62 by 39. Which you're thinking, hey, that's great. That's a fairly affordable round. Well, once again, you run into the problem with it does not use AK pattern magazines. It uses Ruger's own proprietary magazine. And it's not built for steel-cased ammunition, which is the vast majority of the imported 7.62 by 39. It's all steel-cased stuff. That was built for use with brass-cased ammo. And if you're going to buy 7.62 by 39 in brass, it's $1 a round. Yeah.
You can't buy it bulk. You buy 20-round boxes of it. You don't get spam cans of it. You don't get 1,000-round sealed packs anywhere.
Yeah, and you're getting the same Wolf ammo. You may even get their polyformants that are being advertised. I think Cabela's pushes the polyformants.
If you were really, really dead set on a rifle, I'd almost look at an SKS.
Okay.
It's with the original magazine, which is the only magazine I like. It's a 10-round magazine. It feeds off a stripper clip. Once you figured out how to master the operation of it, you can pretty much keep up with somebody with a 30-round magazine. It's far more accurate than the media gives or other firearms enthusiasts give to comm block weapons. The SKS is fantastically accurate. It's got a bullet with performance like a 30-30, almost exactly the same as a 30-30, and it in recent months and years the price has risen dramatically, but they can still be found for about $350.
Okay, so I mean it's affordable.
That's something, and there are several different versions of it. Unfortunately, most of the versions are the ones with the 21-inch barrel. But if you can find a couple with a 16-inch barrel, those are really nice. The little paratrooper versions.
Right.
Those
So I mean, would you totally count out lever action, like Winchester 94 or the Marlin 336?
I would definitely count out a Winchester 94 just on the fact that it's a Winchester 94, and I do not want that rattling around in the back of the truck. A Marlin 336, I'm okay with having it get dinged up a little bit. It's not gonna take the value hit that a Winchester 94 would take. And I mean, remember these items do have value.
Yep, certainly. And one of the things that I think is important about that is that if you know it's going to be a truck gun, you know it's going to get scuffed up a little bit. I mean, you're inherently going to move it around. You're going to hit some kind of exposed metal. You're going to tear little divots and scratches into the stock. So yeah, I mean that'll knock down any kind of perceived resale value you may have for it.
So I guess I would say in the truck gun category, I would look for something that is affordable, military surplus, with probably preference given to an SKS. And another nice thing about the SKS is it has a wood stock. It's not the scary black rifle or the evil pistol gripped AK-47 or something like that. It's got a straight comb stock. It looks like your daddy's hunting rifle.
All right, so with or without the bayonet?
I would probably go without the bayonet.
Yeah, just on looks alone, I think that would scare a lot of folks.
That's not necessarily into having to put out the aura of invincibility with that. I think if you get into that situation and you pull out the rifle and that's not enough, I don't think adding the bayonet's going to help you any.
Yeah, well, chances are you're not going to be proficient with the bayonet to do anything anyhow. So,
no, and we've seen as history shows, people who are not proficient with the bayonet just pretty much die in human waves.
Yes, they do. Oh, well, that's cool. I'm glad we got to talk about that because we really didn't. We took a look at a lot of different types of firearms right there, and we threw out a couple different types, but I think you're going to end up spending anywhere between $300 and $350 to get something that's reliable, something that's proven, and something that's going to stand up to a beating. Because I mean, that's what I look for when I'm thinking of a truck gun. My Blaser R8 is definitely not a truck gun. That comes out when business needs to be done. That Stevens 200 in 308 that you gave me, I could consider that a truck gun. It's the short action. Yeah, it's a polymer stock. Yeah, and that's kind of like what I would think of. The barrel on that is not particularly long, and the only thing that I could want for that is that it has some kind of iron sights. And this is, like I say, we covered this in the past with the American rifle makers that decide that, hey, guess what? If I don't put the sights on it, you're going to buy optics.
Yeah, and that's really one of my problems. Now, I'll tell you what, I am in the market for a new set of sights, a new set of fixed iron sights. I got to shoot today. A buddy of mine took a deer, and so he's getting ready to mount the head, or actually mount the rack. And so instead of mounting a full skull, he's just going to do a horn mount, which is just the horns and a piece of skull that goes between them. Yeah,
so he's gonna mount the antlers with just the skull cap, and is he gonna do some kind of like leather over the top of the space between the antlers, or is he gonna go ahead
like that?
Okay,
he'll end up doing something like that. So we had to pull the head out of the freezer, so it's a solid frozen deer head. It's like a large chunk of thick, heavy, dense wood. And we took the sawzall out and basically just sawed the skull up.
Yeah, you got the skull plate out with the antlers on it.
Right. So now we're stuck with a frozen, rather large deer head.
And what do you do with that?
What do you do with that? So I took a wonderful opportunity to go out and play with a Ruger 10/22, one of my favorite rifles of all time, and I got to test several different kinds of ammunition with it. And
awesome.
It was a lot of fun. So I fired about 250 rounds today, 5 different kinds of ammunition. I had only one failure, and that was with Aguila high velocity, Alta Velocidad 36 grain hollow point ammunition. It's a copper jacketed hollow point ammo. Only one, and I am going to. I'm not going to say that it's the ammo's fault or the rifle's fault. I'm going to say it's my fault because that rifle has been sitting, and well, it being a Ruger 10/22, it probably doesn't get the cleaning attention that it deserves.
Yeah, I would
honestly,
probably.
I haven't fired that rifle in probably close to 4 years.
I would probably say it was not the bullet's fault at all. I would
say
that,
exactly.
I would actually even venture to say that it was probably the bullet's parents' fault for bringing it into this country and not telling it that it was
I think this
not born in this country.
It needs reparation.
It certainly does. And
it needs amnesty.
Where was your compassion to just let this bullet do its job? It wasn't taking any job away from any American bullets, but think about it.
I'm sorry, but so I'll tell you, I don't even know how to respond to that.
Zing!
Well,
that's executive amnesty, folks, right there.
Support your local executive order when you can. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I think that when rounds fail to fire, case in point, I took a trip to Hawaii to retrieve some firearms that I had in storage while I was living overseas and brought them back to Germany, which was an experience in itself. But when I got to the range, I had some ammunition that was in a ammo can. It wasn't really. I wouldn't say it was protected against any kind of elements per se. The gasket on the ammo can was all that was protecting it against humidity. But it had sat there for 2 years, and it was a Glock Model 35 40 caliber Smith & Wesson. Out of a box of 50, probably 12 failed to fire.
Well, it's not probably kept in optimum conditions, and Hawaii is a high humidity area. I do find 12 out of 50 after 2 years to be kind of funny.
Yeah, and that was just Winnie White Box. It wasn't
Well,
anything
but, no,
special.
and Winnie White Box is, well, I think it's just a step up from the steel case stuff, or even some of the brass case
Yeah.
import stuff. Actually, run circles around Winnie White Box, but it's cheap. I mean, where else are you gonna get a box of 100 for like $20?
Yeah. And at that time, that's all it was just plinking and target shooting and making sure that, I still had the function down. So,
Well, that's what we did today. I got to basically like just plink and target shoot at these hunks of deer head that we were shooting at, and I didn't put all 250 rounds into it, but I will say I probably put a good 60 rounds into this deer head, the remains of it, and it was frozen solid, and 22 did not do much damage to it. It did penetrate the bone and would come out the back of the already sliced off head, and the bullets just disintegrated. There was nothing left. I mean, I was pulling out chunks that I would estimate weighed, maybe 3 or 4 grains.
yeah.
Out of a 40 grain bullet.
Total deformation and fragmentation.
Absolute, complete and utter energy dump.
Yeah.
That being said, the damage was not anything I want to rely on.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that for shooting anything 22, you're relying on the fact that chances are you've got a significant amount of ammunition to fire, and maybe even counting a little bit on the noise from the discharge of the firearm.
Well, I think this Ruger 1022 is a lot quieter than I remember it being.
So is this 1022 with like a target crown, or is there any kind of moderator?
Anything special about it?
Yeah, anything on the end?
Nope. It's the only thing that's special about it. It's got a black Palmer stock, and it's their stainless look one. It's got a stainless barrel and like an alloyish, whitish metal receiver. Nothing fancy.
Yeah. Well,
it's a nicer version of it, but I mean, it's still basically like the function of the rifle is the same as the $199 one.
Which means it's the exact same as the arc angle stock that makes it the evil black rifle.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is the ugliest living abortion I've ever seen. That's
the abomination that it is.
That's a step above Tapco. I mean, that's just. I mean. And seriously, if you put Tapco stuff on any of your weapons, you're a goober.
It's a very, very politically correct way of saying that.
It is. Look, I'm sorry. The collapsible T6 stock does not belong on everything.
Yeah, that it does not. I have a friend of mine that has a 590 Mossberg, and he's gone and put the pistol grip and the M4 style stock on it, and I just kind of. It's just not my cup of tea, No,
I think it looks dumb. I don't think it looks right. It's not to my liking. I prefer how it comes out. And I mean, if you're going to put out anything like that, I'd put on something that makes the stock look like the Benelli M4. I wouldn't put it on, the AR-15, M16, M4 stock.
Yeah.
Like collapsible 6-piece thing. No, but I mean, I think it's fine as it comes out of the box.
Well, and one of the things I think that a lot of people end up getting for Christmas now that we're officially in the season, we are 24 shopping days away. You're, from Boxing Day in Canada and 23 days away from Christmas here in the States. So, our shotguns, do you think that's something that folks are going to start buying?
Right. Now, demand for shotguns has gone up in the Midwest significantly, and I'm sure it's gone up in pretty much every large city where you are allowed to buy a firearm.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I wonder in these places that are susceptible to violence from the Ferguson protests and riots, basically. Places like Walmart and some of these smaller independent firearms dealers, I didn't see any reports of those guys getting torched.
No, absolutely not.
So which leads me to believe is that either A, the protesters and the rioters are not thinking, or they're not staying on message from whoever's giving them their marching orders. Because honestly, if I wanted to go out there and really protest firearms violence and the use of firearms and the commission of duly appointed law enforcement officers doing their jobs, I would make sure that I would somehow tie firearms into that kind of argument, and I didn't see that.
Well, I'm going to say that you have to take a look at who is out protesting, and by protesting I mean stealing shoes and tires and cell phones.
Well, there's a difference between protesting and rioting, so yeah.
Well, it's looting. It's just plain basic theft.
Yeah.
Now, the whole idea behind theft is getting something without having to do the actual work for it.
Right.
And I'll tell you this: fighting for dudes who are armed and willing to defend something, that's work.
Oh yeah.
They're not. Well,
and that's what makes me wonder. From our listeners that are maybe out in that region of the country, was it worth the time to either have private security out there, at your location and establishment, or was that something that you as a business owner took upon yourself? Because remember, the government basically helped you build that business. You didn't do it by yourself. Was that something that you took as a precaution to protect your interests and your investment? That's one thing that I would want to know.
Well, what I really want to know is, in the interest of protecting your investment and your business, we see the videos of flash mobs where 60 kids come in, and I'm going to call them kids, because they're all 14 to 19, come running into a business and they ransack it.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what,
I've seen that happen.
Some of these 14, 16, 19-year-old kids, they are 6'4" and weigh 200 pounds.
Yeah. much larger than a guy I want to mess with.
Right, and I'll tell you what. At that point, that's a threat to you.
Yeah, certainly.
And I'll tell you what. If every one of these flash mobs has cameras on it, and if one of these store owners would put the largest guy down, I think the flash mob craze would end.
No, I mean, I think that's going into the crowd control portion of the exercise. But one of the things that I like to think about is that we use technology in every aspect of our life, and one of the things that I think will come, it's not really at the forefront right now, but law enforcement agencies across the country are using it. Is they're using social media to determine where civil unrest is occurring. That's something that I think a person who is interested in protecting themselves will be able to use, and there's plenty of applications out there, websites even, that you can track social media and see where these disruptions, these civil disturbances are happening, and you can use that to your favor in order to get to your home, protect your family, protect your property, protect your business if it's yours. The possibilities are endless, and I think that's one of the things that in everything that I've seen, because it hasn't just been in Missouri outside of St. Louis where these protests and happening, but for the most part the nonviolent protests are happening in some of the larger cities as well. Almost like anybody who owns a firearm can arm themselves with the knowledge of where these disturbances are happening and be able to get home and take care of their family. I mean, to me, that's a great thing, but I don't think that the folks that are the looters and the rioters, I think that they want to get out there. They want to get seen on TV. They really don't care who sees them because they've got that little faith that something will actually be done.
And you know what? At that, I'm going to agree with you, but I'm also going to go and say that some of this is completely instigated not only by the media, because we've both seen that it's instigated by the media to no end, but I saw a really interesting video the other day, and it was outside the Advanced Auto Parts in Ferguson. Did you see this video?
Well, I saw the Advanced Auto Parts the AutoZone get.
Okay, there was a video montage, and it had several different scenes of rioters and things that were happening. And there was one scene where it was a car that was right outside the Advanced Auto Parts, and there was, I'm not going to say what department or what jurisdiction or what agency or whatever they work for, but these were guys in like body armor. And I'm not talking about like cop bulletproof vests. I'm talking about like the kind that, protect the groin and have side plates and the shoulder pads. They had helmets and they had evil, scary black rifles, and there's like 5 or 6 of them around a car, and one of them threw a flashbang in it, and it caught the car on fire.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So like, while I do not agree with the protesting, I'll tell you what. I mean, I agree with protesting. I do not agree with this. This is a lost cause. This is nothing more than
this is Occupy Wall Street. This is all this is. This is Occupy Wall Street that is now in the middle of the country.
Occupy Wall Street did not break in and loot. This is just savagery, is what they say.
Oh no. Occupy Wall Street. I mean, yeah. They have their own thing, but it's all organized and managed by the same people. Instead of baiting the class warfare, this is baiting the racial. Yeah. And to me, it's the same thing.
I understand that, but I think we're in new territory, man. And all I can really say is pay attention, don't fall for any of the bullshit out there, and protect yourself.
Yeah, and the only thing that I'd add to that is I wouldn't exactly say that this is new territory. I'd say that this is old territory with new technology. And this to me is the same thing as, the civil rights movement in the 1960s. A lot of the same players are there, even though for the most part, I think Jesse Jackson has been largely silent in this round. But some of the other race hustlers and race baiters, Farrakhan, all the guys from Harlem and New York City, Al Sharpton, these guys they're doing their utmost to, number one, keep their name in this, because it's no longer about the individual getting shot. There's a narrative that's out there for people to, number one, not even listen to the facts that were presented. Number two, it's just to keep that 15 minutes of fame going.
Well, and it's become nothing but catchphrases and keep. Oh
yeah, when you've got members of Congress going up and saying, "Hands up, don't shoot."
Pants up, don't loot.
Well, I think pants off, dance off. Why not? If we're going to go out there and throw catchphrases.
Yeah, well.
What can you say to that, right? I mean, if I'm up there and I've got my elected representatives up there.
The only thing I can say right now is please follow the 4 rules of gun safety.
And Michael, why don't you go ahead and give those?
I'm going to bust them out right now. Rule number 1, every firearm is loaded until you visually and physically inspect and verify that it is not loaded. Rule number, do not point that muzzle at anything you do not wish to destroy. Rule number 3, know what your target is and know what is beyond your target. And rule number 4, the most important rule, and I cannot stress it enough, please keep your booger hook off the bang switch until you are ready to discharge the firearm.
Yep.
And you cannot have any kind of problems with a firearm until you put your finger on the trigger.
Yeah, so you say it every week. There are no accidental discharges. Firearms don't just go off.
It's all 100% negligence.
That's right. You make a conscious decision to put your booger hook in the trigger guard area and discharge that firearm. Whether or not you meant to is an entirely different situation. However, one of the first things that I talk to kids about when I talk about firearms is, I explain to them the pieces of a firearm and, the ammunition, and I ask them, I'm like, okay, now can you show me where the handle is on the bullet? And the kids just kind of look at me like, the handle? What are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, where's the piece of the bullet that you can go ahead and hold on to and bring it back when it gets away from you? And they pick it up and they look at it, they turn it around, flip it upside down, and they're like, well, there's no handle. I was like, you know what? You're right. Exactly. Once that bullet leaves that muzzle, there's no pulling it back.
Nick, I can't applaud you enough for doing that. I think it's in this age of video games and media, and I mean, look, if a kid sees 1,500 murders on TV before he's like the age of 8, yeah, we have to have some sort of like counter to this. And thank you for doing what you're doing. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, there's organizations out there that are teaching kids as young as kindergarten age. So that's in between 4 and 5. That firearms they're tools, and they're to be respected and with a little bit of a healthy fear. Because if you let your kids just follow the mass media narrative that firearms are killers in the night, waiting to ransack your home, eat all your ham and cheese sandwiches, and
I will not stand for this.
Yeah, they're going to run up your cell phone bill. You're never going to be able to counter that, because in popular media, with the exception of a very, very few celebrities who are very strong advocates of the shooting sports and firearms in general, the overwhelming majority of anybody that you see on TV is all about you, the individual, not having firearms, but their bodyguards are just armed to the teeth.
At the same time, they sell the use of firearms in every movie or TV show.
Yeah, and I want to give a big FU to one of the celebrities who's not even American, who makes his money on firearms in his movies and then has renounced the use of them. Jim Carrey, you blowhard, get real. You made a ton of money off of your movies called Kick-Ass, and then you have the audacity to go out and say that you can't be a part of this. Well, it was good for you while the money was coming in. That's all I gotta say.
You know what? I'm going to be out of the loop on this one because I've never seen the movie Kick-Ass, and I truly don't support the Hollywood industry. That's not working for our people. And when I say our people, I mean the American people. That's not an industry that's ours. Just like banking is not ours. So I can't say that I've seen that movie. I've seen very few movies. Actually, the most recent movie I've seen was Fury. And I'll tell you what, aside from it being like a technically interesting movie because you see like close-ups of tanks and things like that, it was garbage. It was a horrible written story. And I'll tell you what, if it wasn't the evil Nazis, that would have been a hate crime movie.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, American tanks of the day were no match for German tanks. And I'll tell you that.
That was expressed quite graphically.
Yeah. You got a 76 millimeter cannon that is basically having its rounds bounce off the frontal armor of German Tiger tanks. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's
and the Tiger tank shoots right through the Patton tank.
It would.
Or
easily.
The tank, like right through it.
Yeah, it would blow the turret off in most cases. So
that happened in several scenes, and not fun. But
it was interesting that you got a chance to see the.
I did not pay for that movie. I totally streamed that movie for free, so that's another big FU Hollywood.
Yeah,
I watched it for free when I want to.
Well, now that North Korea is screwing with Sony Pictures, you may be able to get the chance to see a couple others.
I'll tell you what, I think this was one of those pictures because it had Sony watermarks all over it during it, so it was obviously like a screening disc. Or something.
Probably something for a critic.
Movies I'd like to even see, and that was probably one of them. And I guess I'm good on seeing Hollywood movies for a while again.
Now, one of the things that I like about the old wartimey movies, going all the way back to some of the movies that were made in the '60s about The Longest Day and some of the others, was just you get to see the firearms that were in use of the day. The M1 Garands, the paratrooper models, the M1 carbines. Even the old grease guns. You hardly see those nowadays, and when you see them at the firearms shows, people want an ungodly amount of money for these.
In this movie, Fury, it was kind of interesting. The firearms were actually correct. There were a lot of grease guns. The only thing that I found odd was Brad Pitt used a Sturmgewehr 44, the STG 44, which many considered to be the forerunner of the AK-47, as the driver of the tank. Now, I understand that, there is, looting and capturing of weapons and all that kind of stuff, and a tank has plenty of places to hold stuff. But I just kind of found it odd that being sort of an experimental rifle that wasn't in widespread use, that he was able to find enough ammunition to use it as often as he did.
Well, from what I understand, they were able to take down an entire battalion, so there was no shortage of ammunition.
They did. At one point, they did. They took down the entire battalion, and I just, I mean, it was interesting, and it was interesting.
Oh, we got some armor humor in our chat room. I see the hands up, don't shoot. That's good times. What's up with all the negative waves, Moriarty? Yep, that's good times. Well, I'll tell you what, I've got a favorite tanker. It's my buddy Chris. We're getting getting to that time of year where we start thinking about people on our Christmas list, and aside from family. And oh man, we all have friends that we go through and do stuff with in life. You got your friend Timmy and TJ, and I got my buddy Chris. So big heads up to Chris. You're patting among the rest of the armor community. So that's my shout out for the week, Michael.
I'll tell you what, I can't thank Timmy enough for giving me a chance to go out and shoot, and thanks to TJ for letting us use his land. It was a blast. I always enjoy my time with my friends, and I enjoy time where I get to shoot with my friends even more. It's something we all like to do, and we're all fairly enthusiastic about it. We all got our own personal preferences, and it all meets in the middle at a happy place.
I think that we're gonna definitely get another chance to go out hunting like we did last July. We're gonna go ahead and get a chance maybe out here in my location. I'm actually, like I said, with these next 2 weekends, I'm going to see if I can solidify a couple more relationships and see if I'll get a chance to go out and do some more shooting, more than I've been able to do in the last couple months.
Well, I wish you the best on that, because in my eyes, sometimes there's nothing more fun than going out and popping off a few rounds.
Yeah. And if you got to get one firearm for Christmas, Michael, what is it going to be?
Oh, I would like the Browning high power that was made for the Sultan of Oman.
You've been searching Browning for that one.
I've not found that on Craigslist yet. It's Browning high power with a slotted stock that actually turns into a holster, and it's got the crest of the Sultan of Oman stamped into the side, and there's only like 300 of them made. And I'm looking for it. I know it's out there.
Yeah,
and I'm going to find it.
Somebody's got it.
I got to think for those Browning high powers, man.
It may be in a metal container somewhere in a jungle.
You know what? I don't think they never went on delivery to him, and I don't know. There was about 300 of them made. And
you probably got hijacked en route to the Middle East, and winded up somewhere in Brunei or something.
No,
like that.
They actually never got shipped.
Ah, okay.
So they're really, really nice. I mean, it's just a plain old Browning high power. It's a military grade pistol. I think it's a work of art. But once again, I got unhealthy lust over the Browning high powers. So,
yeah. Well, I think if I gotta put my wish list down on paper, I really think that it comes down to maybe getting a high model AR, just because you can always dream, right? So I'd want one with all the nifty whiz-bang stuff to see if it actually shoots, and then when I can strip the stuff off, if I can still hit the target with the iron sights.
Yeah, I like the iron sights idea on that. I wish you well in that, and I hope you put like an A2 stock on it.
Yeah, see, I'm not a fan of the A2 stock. Number one, because I've got shorter arms than most folks.
We weren't supposed to bring up your defects, man.
Well, you know what? Thank you, Grandma Julia. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, well, all right. But we're going to stop talking about that, because I get all the defects from them, too.
How appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Michael, I want to say thanks to Jules, thanks to UCY.TV, our community out there, our listeners, and folks in chat. We feed a lot of that off of you guys, and you help keep it interesting. I appreciate the Moriarty reference from the late and not late, but to the movie out there. That's one of my favorites. Anything that comes to getting a World War tank crew up on the screen, that breaks that breaks a little bit of the monotony.
That's cool. Yeah, well, I'd like to thank you, I'd like to give thanks to Jules for giving us the platform to rant. And I'd like to encourage everybody, buy a gun. Thank you very much. Stay tuned to UCY.TV. Lots of good stuff coming up tonight, brand new schedule. Get on it, folks. Buy yourself some guns. Buy yourself some ammo.